Good morning, everybody, and welcome back. So today we're going to talk about some building wealth. Now, my life hasn't always been enriched, been pretty poor pretty much my whole life, not really had a lot of money, didn't grow up with a lot of money, and when Alicia and I got together, we were broke. We had this little apartment above the post office in my hometown. I love that little apartment. It was the best. It was right in the center of town. Fridays we would get a pizza and watch movies, and if we had 32 cents left in our account after the week after we paid bills, we were happy. So, living on a little bit and making the most of it are really where, when you think of wealth, it's not always about all the money, in the bank. You've got all kinds of investments. So, like when I'm thinking of building wealth and being together in a relationship with your partner. So as a couple, where do we want to go? Now that we've been together almost 10 years, it's like, wow, 10 years. It's crazy. So when you're a couple and you do finances together and you're paying, your bills and you're talking about goals. So, as a couple, where do you really want to go to? Then one saying, we're going to go down this path and we're going to follow this to we're going to do it this way. And it's not always just about one person's opinion or one person taking control of your financials. As a couple, it's very important that you both are on the same page and both following down the same path to get where you need to go. You're equal partners in this thing, even though sometimes it may not feel like it. Because there's always going to be one that has the vision of where they want to take you in the future in your relationship. And then there's always one that kind of is just along for the joyride, but is equally thought and value is important as the person that's actually doing the driving, the force behind it. So your vision can be reached, not just by one person, but you have to realize that you can create pit stops kind of along the way before you reach like the ultimate goal. So the pit stops might be, setting goals for, your car fund or your house fund or, your emergency fund, things like that. So think of it as, and I'm a visionary, I can see things in my head that some people may not be able to see. So, I'm always looking towards the end goal, but along the way, that path has branches that tend to be filled with things, these are actually smaller goals that we actually take action on. And they're sometimes reached before you reach the end goal, So that's kind of what I think about in, financials, is there's always going to be short little pit stops along the way before you reach, the ultimate end goals. All right, so I have my notes here, so I'm just going to be looking down. I just want you guys to know that. So the next one is, as a couple, so you agree on things that make sense at that particular moment in time. So say the washing machine breaks down. So your immediate goal is going to be to save for a washing machine. So your end goals are still in your sights, but you have to veer off to get a new washing machine because it's very important to wash clothes. You can't these are some things that you cannot go without. You might be able to go to a laundromat for a little while, but it gets very taxing and tedious, and it takes a lot of time to go to the laundromat. So, all right, so that's what I mean by there's little pit stops along the way. All right, so things are, we need to identify that when you're building wealth, things are not your identity. So, and we've been saying this for a long time. So your car is not your identity. So it's really weird because as kind of like society, they put on you the ideals that the clothes that you wear, the things that you drive, the house you live in, the shoes on your feet makes your identity, but it does not. These are just material things, and it really has nothing to do with what's inside you. So what matters is what kind of person you are, your beliefs, your ethics, your values, and being a good person and doing good deeds for others and being generous, and even if you pick flowers for the neighbor lady, she lost her husband a couple years ago, pick her some flowers. It's the little things that really build wealth inside of us than actually having physical dollars in your hand. And it takes years and years and years to understand what this means, but building wealth is not just financially. It's, you can be wealthy and poor at the same time. I don't know if everybody understands what this means, but having your basic needs met and being a good person, you could be the richest person in the world. All right, so one thing that I realize is that I am the same person whether I have a Corvette, a Kia, or a bicycle to drive. I am still Paula. I'm still that person that grew up poor and is a dreamer and loves animals. Whether or not I drive a Ferrari, I'm still the same person. All those things are still inside of me. Whether or not I have a Gucci bag or I really hope everybody understands what I'm trying to say is that wealth is not money. It's the relationships that we have. It's the ethics that we have. You are the same person without that fancy car or those designer clothes and the Gucci handbag. You are still the same, whether or not you have $1 million in the bank or just $5 in the bank. So true wealth is not, it's not on physical things, that you can buy. It's the relationships that are in you. It's your relationship with your family, your friends. It is about your relationship with God that builds wealth in your life. And to me, it's very important. And I am a Christian, and I don't always talk about it, but there are scriptures in the Bible that talk about money and being debt. You're a slave to the lender. And I think it's really important that we not put our faith in, physical money, but relationships that you can build. And because if you build relationships, you can barter and trade things and build wealth that way. I hope it's kind of like old school. So if I was a chicken farmer and I needed wood to build a barn, I would barter with some of my chickens, right? To get wood from the the wood mill back in the day. This is what you did. And so building wealth wasn't always about money. It was about things that you could use, things that your skills that are inside of you that could, enrich your life or someone else's life. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. So building wealth is not always about money. It's about us individually being wealthy with the person that you are, what is inside your soul, and being happy and spreading joy and love to others and being grateful for just being you. Thanks for watching, guys.